Hey guys, my name is Fallen Messiah, and in this video I will offer my feedback and opinion regarding the latest PTR for Season 7 in Diablo 4. What is good, what is bad, and what should be improved upon. Now before we jump into all the new things in Season 7, I want to talk a little bit about the PTR experience in general. And it's not good. Let's just jump straight into the game and see what I'm actually talking about. So let's start from the beginning. I don't know about you guys, but the PTR experience for me has been pretty bad. When I log into the game, it takes it forever to get in, and sometimes I just fail to, so I have to restart everything. A lot of bugs, a lot of crashes. I know this is this is to be expected with PTR, but I still feel we could work on these things. Now, admittedly, my PC is not that new, so maybe it could be just issue on my end, but I don't have these issues with the actual live game itself. But on PTR, it's a real struggle to even just get into it and play. Now, second of all, what is PTR actually for? We need to discuss this. PTR is for us testing new features that are going to be coming in the upcoming season. The problem with PTR is that Blizzard makes it really hard for us to actually do so. What am I talking about? Well, let's begin with this little NPC here in Kyoshad. So this little guy can offer various different things. He can level our glyphs, our paragon, he can grant us materials, equipment. So let's say I want a random assortment of legendaries. I just go here, and then I make it rain. And I noticed they added, I think, 3 chests now, used to be 2. And this is what I get. Now, there is one problem with this. Let's say I want an ancestral item. Out of this rain of items, 3 chests, I got what? 4 ancestral items. That is not good. Why can we not simply have another option that we're granted specifically ancestral items so that we can actually test out our builds? Because those are the items we really want to have in every single build. Why do we get a random assortment of crap that we then have to sift through in order to test the build? I just don't get it. The same is true for the unique items as well. With the unique items, you still get all of them. So we are granted the class uniques, we are granted generic uniques, and we are granted the mythic uniques. But if I want a specific unique and I want an ancestral, I have to do this over and over again until I actually get the one that I want. And then the one that I want might still not have the legendary affix power that I actually need. So let's say I want to get the Ancestral Tyrusha's Iridescent Loop. I have to keep doing this over and over again and hope that I will get it. And then when I do get it, I have to hope that I actually get 25% instead of 10%. So you can see where I'm going with this. So why can we simply not get a chest that's going to provide us with ancestral items? Point number 2. Let's say you want to masterwork your items. You go to crafting and materials. You grant all materials. You get a lot of gems. You know how much masterworking materials you actually get? You get 1,000. You get 1,000 Abdicite. Check this out. I had 24.5k. I press grant all materials. And I have 25.5k. So 1k per click, which is absolutely absurd. So this random item is now masterwork level 10. Let's say I want to get it to 11. It takes 1,350 Abdicite. And for the last level, it's 2,250. So more than twice of what they actually give me when I click once. Why can't we simply get like 10k or even 100 Abdicite on one go? If I want to master materials, I have to keep doing this, right? Over and over and over and over again. Why? But there's more. I can set my paragon to level 200, but I can't set it to 250 or 300. I can unlock Torment tiers, but I can't unlock Pit 50 or Pit 100. Why? Why is this happening? There's so many questions that just don't have an answer. Why is Blizzard so incessant on us having to grind on a PTR that really only serves for players to test new features and builds and provide feedback? Why do I have to masterwork? Why do I have to click over and over to get materials? Why do I have to enchant for that matter? Why do I have to sift through the garbage to find ancestral gear? You tell me. Now, this has been ongoing for the past couple of seasons now. It has been worse, so Blizzard is getting better, but this keeps happening over and over again, and Blizzard can't seem to make it right. I just don't understand. The whole point of PTR is to facilitate players testing your game and allow the experience to be as streamlined and as seamless as possible. This is far from it. So what do I propose? Well, I propose a system where you can simply allow us to get any item that we want with any affixes that we choose from the list of affixes. And then affix power, of course, is going to be the maximum or whatever we choose. So for example, I go to the NPC and let's say I want a ring, and then it's going to offer me a way to get specific affixes, and I can choose if they're going to be a greater affix or not. No need to enchant, no need to sift and search for ancestral items. I'm able to get whatever items I want. That way I get to test the game the way that I want to, and I can offer feedback to Blizzard easier. Because assembling any of these builds takes a significant amount of time. It takes a couple hours to get any build online. You have to first make sure you get necessary items, you have to make sure they're ancestral, you have to make sure you enchant them, masterwork them, set up the paragon, etc, etc. It is very exhausting, and I wish Blizzard would finally move away from this and offer us a better PTR experience. Now, having said all of that, let's actually discuss the new things that the Season 7 is going to offer. We are going to start with number 1, by far the most requested feature, which is of course the Armory. I have no real notes on the Armory itself as far as the functionality goes. It's great, it's amazing, it's everything we really wanted. It has been long overdue, of course, it should have been out a long time ago, but it is what it is. But I have a different kind of feedback on Armory itself. Let's assume that you're just in Kyovashad for the first time in PTR and you want to test out the Armory. First of all, you have to find the goddamn Armory in the first place. So you don't immediately see it, right? You would expect it to be next to the blacksmith, but it's actually not. Then you open tab. And boy, when you open tab, is that a mistake. This is actually even better, because now I have items on the ground, so there's even more shit out here. So, can you find the Armory? It's here. It's actually here, guys. So, can you imagine you have to go through all of this random shit, and you can barely see it. Now, I know where it is, but I just wanted to offer this demonstration because this is actually exactly what I struggled with when I first came to Kyovashad. I was struggling to find it. So anyway, this is it. This is the Armory. My problem with the Armory is that it looks like any other doodad in the game. It could very well be this, or this pile of weapons, but instead it's this pile of weapons. So I just want to offer feedback in terms of visual clarity. Please, Blizzard, make Armory have a little bit of a glow or an effect or something that's going to differentiate it from any other assortment of bullshit in the game. Because look, this is just another weapon rack right next to a bunch of other weapon racks. It's really lacking visual clarity. Now, as far as the actual functionality serves, it's great. So you can have different builds, you can load it, you can save it, you can rename it. It's pretty seamless. So if, let's say, I want to swap from my Ball Lightning to Incinerate, I just load it, and bam! Loads the skills, loads the paragon. It works exactly as it should. One minor feedback that I would offer is we should be allowed to switch to these builds by double-clicking. So far, that's not the case. You actually have to select each build and select the load button. You should be able to double-click to get the build online. But otherwise, it works great. Okay, now let's actually talk about the seasonal features. So the entire new season is going to be revolved around whispers. With that in mind, they completely redesigned the Trio Whisper location. And I have to say, I'm a big fan. I quite like how it looks. They expanded on it. The tree looks really awesome. Just look at it. It's really cool. It's really nice. So it has a lot more things. Now it also has the Purveyor of Curiosities. It has a lot of things it didn't have before. I believe that Alchemist is also new. Now, again, as far as visual clarity is concerned, I have another little small feedback here. Can you find the jeweler here without actually looking in your minimap? Can you really, though? It's here. This is the jeweler. I understand the whole shtick with this jeweler is it's stone cursed, whatever the hell that means. The problem is that it blends too well with the environment. This is yet another part of the game where I feel a bit of more visual clarity and design would benefit the game, because I can see it's here in the minimap, but if I didn't have it, I would simply walk past this NPC. It blends too well with the other doodads around it. So, just my little feedback on that. So what is the new season actually offering us? So there's actually a lot of things coming. First of all, we have entire new areas in the game. These are the Headhunting Zones, and they have this sort of like greenish hue in the game, in the map as well. I like it. I really like this color palette. I'm a big fan. As opposed to the red hue of the Helltides, so these happen also randomly on the map. What I do like is that there are several zones active at all times as well, so unlike Helltides, you actually get to choose and pick which ones you like better, and they have different timers on. So this one expires in 4 minutes, this one expires in 24 minutes, so just as kind of offers a little bit more variety and more choice. When it comes to the new seasonal content, we have Witchcraft. Witchcrafting powers, you actually get a nice little separate tab right here. It's called Witchcraft. With Witchcraft, you select up to 5 normal powers and one sort of, let's say, unique special power. These powers are all sort of passives. You don't actually activate them. They're all just sort of here. And they all have different effects. For example, this one is going to summon fire bats. Every 3 seconds they do damage, and they all have different tags, which is important. I will discuss this a bit later. So this one is, for example, Eldritch and Summon, and these will have Psyche tags. We also have, for example, Growth and Decay and Hex, as far as tags are concerned. You get these powers by visiting these altars. Altar of the Psyche, Altar of the Eldritch, and Altar of Growth Decay. I bought all of them. You buy them with a new resource called the Restless Rot. You get Restless Rot by completing activities in these Headhunting Zones. So pretty straightforward. You buy them, and then once you do buy them, you can also simply upgrade them, and you don't actually need to visit these menus again to do so. You can do it anywhere, which is great. You can upgrade them simply by pressing letter F, and it costs more of the new resource. On top of the new powers, we also have new gems, so every gem actually gives you armor and all resist. This is great because they're not competing with other gems like topases, etc. in jewelry. By the way, these can only be socketed in jewelries, so I think that's a pretty great decision. And they all have different properties. Some augment your witchcraft powers, others grant you bonuses depending on the witchcraft powers you have. So for instance, I have crafted this one. While you have 3 or more Psyche Witch powers, your defensive skills are reduced by 20%. The cooldowns are reduced. So, with that in mind, I actually do have 3 Psychic powers. So, these 3 have Psyche tag on them, and because they do, I actually had 20% cooldown reduction on my defensive skills, which is great. So I like the system a lot. It promotes more versatility and more care on which spells you actually have here. So I'm a big fan of these gems. My problem with these skills is that by themselves they're just not super useful. It's great that the game offers you actually a bit more strategy depending on the tags on these abilities, so you actually benefit from the gems themselves, but the skills themselves are not actually super useful. For example, any skills that deal direct damage simply cannot scale well in Torment tiers because they lack the multipliers and they will be completely useless to you. So basically, the only skills that are going to provide usefulness to you are those with actual utilities, like for example this. Eldritch effects apply vulnerable. This is my source of vulnerable, and that's pretty actually nice. Because I have Eldritch Doom Orb and I have Eldritch Firebat Servants, so every time they do damage, enemies are vulnerable, which allows me to tap into many different multipliers for this build, so that's nice. The way you actually craft these gems is you talk to the new NPC called Galena, and then here you collect various materials, like the new currency as well as the new head, which I'm gonna talk in the headhunting portion of this video. And finally, before we dive into the new area, there is Coven's Favor. You all seen this before, this is a new reputation system. As you do new things in the new zones, you fill up the meter and you get rewards. There are also going to be new seasonal quests for the Season 7 as well, but they have not revealed that in the PTR yet, so I cannot test them out, which is probably a good decision. They should probably have at least some things to discover for ourselves in the season. And now let's talk about the new zones. So they're called Headhunting Zones. And there is a lot of things to cover. So first of all, you'll notice that these zones are quite busy. There is a lot of things to do. When you first step into them, it can be a bit of an overwhelming experience simply because there is a lot of activities, a lot of whispers, a game throws a lot of things at you all at once. So as I mentioned earlier, I do like this sort of greenish hue that these areas have. I think that visually overall it's quite appealing. I like the way that the old monsters are sort of refurbished. And the activities are pretty interesting as well. But there are a lot of different ways to earn green favor in these zones. So for example, one whisper is for you to simply pick up herbs. And as you pick up herbs, you pick up herbs 7 times, you get a whisper. Not bad. There's also quite a lot of silent chests, a lot more than you usually would have in the game, so having a lot of keys in these zones actually quite pays off. Now, one complaint regarding these activities is that they're actually quite stingy with the green favors. So let's say, for example, there is this area, it's called this spell. You walk into this glowing circle, and you need to do it 6 times, as you can see here, and you only get a single whisper. That's a bit too little. Now, as you keep doing these activities, you will get these exposed roots. Activating them gives you more mobs to kill. Then as you keep activating these roots, eventually you will gain the access to the main activity of these headhunting zones. And which is this. Fugitive. Recover head or slay husk. So you will either get a sort of a mini-boss that's going to be headless, or it's going to have a head. You want to collect these heads to craft the new gems. If it doesn't drop a head, instead, it's probably going to drop a recipe for the gems instead. So overall, not a bad activity. And also, one very new major thing is, as you keep killing these monsters over and over, and as you keep filling up your green favors, once you do fill it up completely, a raven spawns, where you can simply turn in the favors and get a whisper chest. That's great. It's very nice, seamless, doesn't interrupt the gameplay, doesn't require you to go back in town and turn them in, so I like that quite a lot. I will only wish that some of these activities are a little bit more rewarding as far as the green favors are concerned. And there you go, guys, these were the headhunting zones. Now before I finish off the video, just one little other additional note. Some of these witch powers can actually only be found in Nightmare dungeons. I think that's great. It adds another little extra depth to the Nightmare Dungeons, which I feel are pretty weak in the moment and need a bit of more love. Unfortunately, Blizzard doesn't seem to have anything new in mind for them at the moment, but that's a topic for a different time. So basically, you can find a couple of pretty cool ones like Piranhado, which I still haven't found yet. Gives you more incentive to go into the dungeons and explore. You also have a new elixir, it's called Draw Out of Whispers. By activating the elixir, you have more chance of encountering these altars in the Nightmare Dungeons, as well as encountering a fugitive head when you're actually doing the Headhunting Zones. And there you have it, guys. This is all I have to say about the upcoming PTR and the Season 7. So just to summarize quickly, unfortunately, Blizzard keeps missing the mark on the PTR experience. Hopefully they're going to make it a little bit more seamless and more streamlined as we get into more seasons later next year. It has also been plagued with several technical difficulties that have really prevented me from testing the PTR as much as I wanted. With that out of mind, I actually quite like the seasonal activities. In my opinion, seasons should provide more flavor to the already great base game. It doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. Regardless of the seasonal activity, by month 1, month 2, we will be already sick of it and it will bore us. It's just the nature of the game. It's just the nature of how these things work. But I think this is going to be the best season yet. There's a lot of things to do. New powers, new abilities, new gems, new zones. Tell me, guys, what you think about all of that in the comments below. Did you enjoy the PTR? Did you test it? What are you hoping for? What would you change? And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, for sticking with me. If you like these kind of videos, leave a comment down below and please consider subscribing. It's a new channel. A little subscription help. Thank you so much. My name is Full Messiah and I'm gonna see you in the next one.